Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's QA Wolf conversation, the QA Wolf Advantage, vertical integration for superior QA. I'm your host, Caleb Masters, and important fact, two-thirds of companies have less than 50% coverage. Well, why is that? Well, it's because the tools that most outsourced QA vendors use to build and maintain automated end-to-end tests were designed for product development, and they are woefully ill-equipped to handle the needs of QA engineering. And that's why over the next 30 or so minutes, we'll be talking with the QA Wolf co-founder and CEO Jon Perl about how the QA Wolf team built technology to address this. But before we go any further and get to introductions, I want to give a quick snapshot of everything we're going to cover today. So first up, we're going to talk about the problems of using off-the-shelf tools for QA. And then we'll move on to the second topic here, which is the three pillars of proprietary technology that QA Wolf built to achieve 80% plus test coverage for clients. And we're also going to demo a couple of different portions of the QA Wolf tech so you can see exactly what it looks like in action. And then we'll close out the conversation by talking about what separates QA Wolf from outsourced third-party QA alternatives. Without further ado, I think it's very important to welcome the real star of today's presentation. He is the man of the hour, the co-founder and CEO of QA Wolf, Jon Perl. Jon, welcome.
Caleb, great to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me, and excited for the demos and taking everyone behind the scenes in terms of the tech that we've built to run this operation at QA Wolf.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff. I know you and the team have been working very hard to really just change the game and deliver meaningful business outcomes. We'll talk about what exactly we mean there. So let's start with a saying I've heard you use many times, which is companies are paying for inputs, not coverage. So Jon, kick us off here. I mean, what challenges have historically kept QA engineers from reaching the sorts of automated test coverage like what we are able to deliver here at QA Wolf?
Yeah, so an underappreciated aspect of QA engineering is just how much waiting around you have to do. So let's say you're debugging a test and it's a 15-minute long test, but the test fails 10 minutes in. So you might have to run that test 4 or 5 times to be able to fix that issue that's 10, minutes in. And all of that time, it just adds up. So when you're running a test suite, you're going to have to deal with these failures you have to investigate, and the long tests, they take forever to maintain. Another thing is that you're also limited by how many tests you can actually run concurrently. So many teams, when they set up automated tests, they're not using separate data, or these tests, they have to, run sequentially, or they might not have the infrastructure in place to be able to run the tests in parallel. And so if you're waiting for your tests to run, they're not all running at the same time, then that really slows things down. So just a ton of time wasted in the whole QA engineering process.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about that time wasted, and it really makes me think about the hourly business model that a number of other, third-party outsourced QA solutions or even offshore QA contractors use. That old saying of "time is money" seems at least somewhat applicable here. I mean, if you have a per hour model, that wasted time seems like it could actually add up pretty quickly. I mean, what's your take there?
Well, yeah, I mean, traditionally, outsourcing bills by the hour because it's the easiest way for a contractor to guarantee that they're profitable. If you're paid for time spent in labor, but not necessarily the business outcomes, because you're paid for those hours, there's actually no incentive to become more efficient. There's no incentive to build tooling to do stuff faster because you're paid by the hour. So you want to take actually as long as possible.
Right. And I mean, I imagine if I'm an engineering leader, I'm going to want the opposite, which is I'm going to want the job done as quickly as possible so that you're not spending or wasting money. But it sounds like that is really at odds with what a lot of third-party QA is offering out there, which really makes me, beg the question. It's technology, right? Surely there's got to be tech that engineers use to expedite some of these processes. Jon, what's your take here? I mean, why haven't the tools traditionally used by QA picked up the slack here?
Yeah, so, that's a very critical point, Caleb. And the thing is that there is off-the-shelf tooling that QA engineers use. I mean, everyone uses, tools like Visual Studio Code to create tasks, or GitHub Actions, CI, CD to run the tests. But that tooling, it's not aligned with this repetitive, high-volume testing workflows that are essential and core to doing QA engineering. And so in-house teams or outsourced teams, they often use the tech stack that the product team is using, and this reliance on these inadequate tools result in slower cycles, missed bugs, and a lack of test coverage But the thing is that these tools are available, so that's why people use them. It's the path of least resistance. And if you're an hourly contractor, you have no incentive to invest in R&D and to build custom tooling that is going to streamline your workflow because you're billing hourly. You want to take as long as possible. But for QA Wolf, that's not our billing model. That's not how we charge. We're selling outcomes. And to get to the level that we need to deliver the outcomes we promise at our cost, the only way we can do that is with the custom tech that we've built.
Right. So, I mean, it sounds like by putting the focus on time and labor over the comprehensive test coverage, it seems like outsourced QA teams have really struggled to deliver reliable results, which of course is going to cause bottlenecks and slow things down for a lot of those engineering workflows.
Definitely. When you're billing hourly, you're not incentivized to deliver coverage quickly. It's going to be very expensive coverage. And you're not incentivized to make the test run quickly, to run in parallel, to not be flaky. So that will create a bottleneck if you have a slow QA cycle, slowing down the whole engineering process and software development lifecycle.
Right. And of course, I mean, you talked about how here at QA Wolf, we're actually trying to really change that by focusing on business outcomes. So I want to take things a step further here and learn a little bit more about what you mean by that. What sorts of results have you and the team been able to deliver with the technology that we've built here at QA Wolf?
Yeah. So when we started offering test coverage as a service, one of the core principles we had is we wanted to come up with a business model that aligned our incentives to our customers. And we wanted to sell the best thing possible. And the best thing possible they could sell is the actual outcomes that companies want. So with QA Wolf, when you sign up for QA Wolf, we guarantee outcomes and we guarantee that we're going to get you to 80% automated test coverage in 4 months. You'll be able to run these tests unlimited times. So there's no limits on how often you can run the tests in parallel quickly. And you'll be able to get pass fail results because the tests are running in parallel to the extent that your infra can handle it in just a few minutes. And we'll wrap up, have an entire automated QA cycle that takes under 15 minutes, including investigations on as many code deployments as you're doing.
Well, I mean, 15-minute QA cycles. I mean, that's pretty impressive, I have to say. They sound it sounds sort of incredible, especially when you put it on paper. But I actually want to understand exactly how our tools are able to help the leaders achieve those business outcomes. So let's talk a little bit about the tech. I understand that you and the team have sort of built three core pillars of technology to address these challenges. So maybe walk us through it, John. What are the three pillars of QA Wolf's proprietary tech that we've built to reach and maintain quality coverage for customers?
Yeah, so there's a ton of tech, but if we, break it down into these three areas, the first one would be our AI native web-based platform to create and maintain these tests. So in this platform, we've made it 5 times faster to create tests, to diagnose, is this a real failure? Is it a false positive? Do we need to maintain it? And to speed up the maintenance process. The second pillar is the infrastructure to run all of these tests in parallel and at scale. So we're running millions of tests per month now, and we're able to deliver 100% parallelization to our customers. We have customers running thousands of tests in parallel at the same time. We have a whole infrastructure team, actually multiple, and we've built custom Kubernetes infrastructure to scale up this infra. Now even we're building device farms for mobile testing to provide 100% parallel mobile infra. And all of this infrastructure that we provide for our customers replaces the need for them to manage the infra and to pay for parallel run infrastructure. So that would be the second pillar. Finally, the third pillar of our tech is TaskWolf. And TaskWolf is, I would think of it like our 24-hour-a-day QA project management. So it's a centralized task management platform that our QA engineering team uses to real-time understand what they need to do to be able to respond to requests and be responsive 24 hours a day, and streamline the whole process of delivering this coverage and making sure we're hitting our SLAs and we have these quick creation, maintenance, and investigation times for our customers.
Wow, very exciting. Those are the three pillars here. And for everyone who's tuning in today, we are going to walk through each one of those here in a minute, starting with pillar number one. Very excited to walk you through the system, again, as we said earlier, along with some demos. So, John, what do you think? Should we go ahead and look under the hood of this multi-million-dollar machine?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, let's start with pillar number one, which is QA Wolf's AI native web based platform. But better yet, I think let's go ahead and kick things off with the demo of the system. So, John, I'm going to go ahead and pass the virtual mic and screen over to you. So, show us QA Wolf in action.
Thanks, Caleb. So what we're showing here is the QA Wolf platform. And we're actually looking at the dashboard that we and our engineering team sees internally because we use QA Wolf to test QA Wolf. We see that we've run thousands of tests over this past month, which gives our team the confidence that everything is working and we can ship our platform without shipping bugs. So let's look into that in a little bit. Here I can see the development environment that we're using to run our tests, ad hoc on a daily basis. And we see here that we're running hundreds of tests pretty quickly because of the parallel infrastructure that we've built. And we're not just running tests on a development environment, we're running the tests as part of our entire development process. So I can see here, Brendan opened up a PR, not merged it yet, but wanted to run these tests to see were there any issues in this sort of big change that he was making with the run system. And if we look into the details here and we look at one of these tests, we can see some of the features we've built into the platform. So because we've built our own infrastructure, we're actually able to capture a bunch of artifacts about these test runs to make it easy for our team to investigate them. So what that includes, we have a video of the tests. Here I can see on this failure, there's clearly an issue. We definitely, should mark this as a bug and not merge this PR. But this video allows our team to quickly investigate the failure. Not all issues are this obvious. Here I'm sure there's some very obvious change that led to this error. A lot of issues you actually need to dig deeper and investigate the failure and figure out, is this a real issue or does the test need maintenance? Also within our platform, we've built the ability with one click to dig into a test and to run that test and investigate it. I'm going to jump back and choose one of our workflows just to demonstrate that because clearly that environment's not working, so I don't want to run on that environment. But here we have one of the tests we use to test QA Wolf. And this is a test that makes sure that logging in works. So pretty simple test. But you can see here, I clicked one button and already our platform is jumping in and running these tests. And very quickly, I can see the whole test pass. There's not an issue. We shouldn't mark that as a bug. This ability to quickly jump in and investigate failures in, this tab right here allows our team to investigate failures super quickly. You can open up multiple tabs. Let's say you have long tests that are running. You can open up 5 different tabs and run all of those. And then dive in and either maintain the test or straight from our platform, we're actually able to report a bug that goes directly into our customers' issue trackers. So this is a completely streamlined workflow to investigate failures, to report bugs, and to maintain the test. One more thing I'm going to show here is that let's say there was an issue on this test. Well, instead of having to rerun the whole test, we've built a bunch of tooling to make it very quick for our team to be able to actually investigate the failures and update and maintain the code. So here, I've just chosen the settings button. Let's say I want to update the test to actually click on settings. Well, I didn't have to do much at all. I just chose that. It generated the code for me. And without rerunning the whole test from scratch, I'm able to verify, this change I made works correctly.
All right, great stuff, John. I really appreciate you showing us the AI web-based platform in action. And I want to actually turn things over to, a comparison between our platform and what it's capable of doing, as you just showed us, and how that, how it stacks up against the off-the-shelf tooling that a lot of QA engineers are currently using. What would you say, in your experience, have been the main pain points of sort of cobbling together these tools for QA engineers?
Yeah, so there's really 2 main blockers that engineers face when they're trying to automate tests quickly and really slow down their ability to automate tests. The first one is just lack of features. We talked about how there's a lot of repetition that you need to do, and a lot of things that slow down, as part of the QA engineering process. So a lot of the tooling that's out there, it's missing key features to streamline and speed up uh, all of these slow processes that are repetitive. For example, one feature that we built into this custom environment we have for automating tests is the ability to just run only a few lines at the same time of code. And the reason why this is very important is, for that 15-minute long test where the failure is 10 minutes in, you might want to just make sure you fix that one little part and verify that that works without having to rerun the whole test multiple times before fix the test. So line by line code running to maintain tests without needing to start at the top every single time and wait many minutes. A second important feature that we've built is, because this is web-based, which is quite difficult to build a web-based QA engineering platform. We actually have to stream the browser through the cloud and infrastructure. But the benefit that gives you is our QA engineers who are investigating thousands of failures, tens of thousands of failures on a daily basis, they're able to run these investigations in multiple tabs at the same time. For a large test suite, we have customers that are running thousands of tests. Unfortunately, what everyone knows is that end-to-end testing, there are a high amount of false positives. No matter what you do, even with the latest tooling that we use, Playwright, auto weighting, to reduce the brittleness, you still are going to have false positives that need investigation. And the ability to do many at the same time in parallel on multiple tabs dramatically speeds up the QA cycle time and being able to review every single failure. Third key feature that we've built, which isn't intuitive, but is that we have the same consistent test execution environment when we create the tests, when we run them, and when we maintain the tests. And that way we know, the test runners have the same memory, they have the same CPU, they have the same exact operating system, browser, environment. Whereas if you're running, creating the tests on your local machine, running them in CI, those are not necessarily going to be a consistent environment, and that's going to lead tests to being more brittle and less consistent, and you have more, false positives to investigate. So those are some of the key features we've built that other people automating tests are going to lack, slowing down their ability to create, run, and maintain these tests. The second major thing is that in order to solve for some of these missing features and tooling, outsourced QA engineers, they have to cobble together a bunch of different tools. There's not like one consistent platform where they can do everything in one place. Some of the tooling, QA engineers or developers or outsourced QA engineers are going to use today include a whole hodgepodge of different tooling. First, test case management. So you're going to have something like TestRail. Then you've got IDE for coding, like VS Code or IntelliJ. Then you have a separate source code management tool, so something like GitHub or GitLab. Then you need Loom or some similar tool for bug reporting. Then you have a CI platform to run these tests, which could be something like GitHub Actions or Circle CI. You might also need infrastructure to run the tests in parallel, so Browser Stack or Sauce Labs, especially if you're running mobile tests. Then you need a place to store the artifacts, like the video and the test logs, something like Cypress Dashboard. And finally, if you're outsourcing it, there's time tracking tools that they need to use. There's not a single tool that does everything in one place like the QA Wolf platform does. And all of these tools are a bowl of spaghetti that may or may not talk to each other. So like the Rube Goldberg machine you see on the slide, working between the tools, it requires a lot of context switching, and that slows down the whole QA process. And by the way, the outsourced QA vendor is going to pass along part of the cost of these tools to you as part of the labor hour.
I know another area that we haven't really talked a whole lot about is test creation, maintenance with the power of QA Wolf AI. So how do the latest enhancements make the team more efficient? Now, before you actually answer that question, I want to see it in action to believe it. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the virtual mic and screen back over to you.
So actually, the first thing I want to do is creating a test. And as you can see here, we've got all of this running in my browser. Our QA engineering team doesn't have to install anything. They can just open up the platform And I'm going to go ahead and create a test on an example site. I'm using Figma in this case. I think Figma is a great example because they're also web-based. You just use Figma directly from your browser. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to our AI and walk through a flow, and it's actually going to create the test for us. So we're going to create a new slide deck, and then what I want to do is I want to start from scratch, and I want to change the title, and I want this to be a random set of letters and numbers. And I also want to change the description to be a random set of letters and numbers. And then finally, I want to do a screenshot assertion here, reload the page, and do another screenshot assertion. We're doing that to make sure that it looks the same, all the data saved, and the title and description the same. So what's happening now is Hal, our AI agent, is taking everything I just did and turning that into an automated test. So because we have this web-based platform, we're able to capture a lot of information and amazingly fast. I really haven't had to do anything. It just generated this whole test by me walking through a test. So I'll go ahead and run this. I know I don't need this navigation, but I'm going to run it from scratch just to see how it did. And in this example, Figma is a pretty complex app. It's canvas-based. It's not, all pure dumb, but, we're able to handle these sort of complex scenarios even. And that's because we're managing coverage for so many different complex web applications that are as complex as an app like Figma. And here, so we did the screenshot assertion, we're reloading the page, and now it's going to do another screenshot assertion, and it looks like it passed. And what's really cool, so we just showed right there the AI-based test creation that makes it much faster for our team to create automated tests. But we also have a lot of other tooling that we've built in the platform. So in this example, we have these screenshot assertions directly built in. So we can see, in this case, what the screenshot was before and after. And here, I can verify that this is actually not the screenshot I want. And I didn't realize that when I was recording that. I see that it's actually chose it created another screenshot assertion, when what I really want is for it to assert the same thing as this assertion. So this is the value of having our QA engineering team. It's very important to make sure that the test that you're writing, they actually test what you need to test. There's a perfect example of the little mistakes that an AI would make. So now that I've changed this, it will actually be the correct test code to ensure it's this screenshot, which I can verify here. This is what I want it to look like. And I think this is a perfect demo to show how we can dramatically speed up things with AI, but the importance of making sure and having an expert QA engineer in the loop to verify we're testing the right thing.
Thanks for giving us the rundown about QA Wolf's first pillar, which again is the AI native web-based platform, including a quick demo of some of the really awesome groundbreaking tech you and the team are working on. But let's go ahead and move on to our second pillar of technology, which is an infrastructure that runs parallel tests at scale. So we've just talked about how our AI native web-based platform removes the friction of the off-the-shelf tools that can introduce to test creation, maintenance, and bug reporting. But what about actually running the tests? Of course, I think as Jon has already mentioned, there are specialized products just for executing tests like Browser Stack or GitHub Actions. But I understand that there's a potential trade-off, potentially hefty trade-off to using those tools. So Jon, I'd love to get your perspective here. I mean, what have you seen as the biggest pain points with the off-the-shelf solutions that are widely used by engineering teams when it comes to doing test runs?
Yeah, so there are specialized test running grids, but they come with hefty and expensive, set of trade-offs. So in my experience, as an engineer, the costs that companies incur using the off-the-shelf tooling come in two parts. One is because tools like Browser Stack charge per parallel run, you end up imposing a low concurrency limit which limits how many tests you can actually run in parallel. So you're going to have a much slower cycle time because you have to wait for all of these tests to run because it's way too expensive if you want to run all the tests in parallel. The second thing is that you actually have to have someone managing this infrastructure. So even if you're using, another tool, you still need to set up your CI/CD, and you need to set up the artifact management. So you have to pay someone or take up time from engineering time that you're not going to use spending on building features. And it just doesn't make any sense for every single company to reinvent the wheel managing infrastructure. Ultimately, these off-the-shelf test grids are too expensive for engineering teams that want to receive quick feedback at a reasonable cost.
Right. Well, and John, I'm hearing you lay it all out like that, which makes me ask the question, how is it possible for us here at QA Wolf to offer that unlimited, fully parallel test run and the cost of managing a test?
Yeah, so we vertically integrated to be able to provide this parallel infrastructure at a low cost, included as part of the cost of QA Wolf. And we've built custom infrastructure that dynamically spins up and down Docker containers for every single test. So we have a whole infrastructure team, actually multiple, that are responsible for our infrastructure. And what this allows us to do is to fully parallelize the test execution at scale, without being significantly expensive. It's very efficient at spinning up these containers in parallel. And our architecture eliminates some resource contention. So we're able to run thousands, tens of thousands of tests concurrently and be able to deliver pass-fail results within just a few minutes. We're running millions of tests every single month across this infrastructure. And we're keeping up with it. Like, there's a lot of scaling up and down throughout the day, and throughout the different time zones that we service, because our customers are deploying, as they're building, constantly throughout the day. And we can keep up with the demanding continuous integration and continuous deployment cycles without delaying them because we're able to run on these tests in parallel. Finally, mobile testing is super expensive. That's why as I mentioned before, we're vertically integrated. We've actually built our own device farm. We have our own mobile devices running to run these tests so we can offer this infrastructure at a low cost without sacrificing the speed, being able to run these tests quickly in parallel so teams can have results very fast.
Wow, exciting stuff. I mean, you just mentioned millions of tests a month. That is an unbelievably impressive number. So unbelievably impressive. I actually want to dig a little further and understand exactly how you and the team are tracking that volume, which is actually, I think, going to take us right to our third pillar of tech, which is our 24-hour QA project management tool here, which we call Task Wolf. So again, we've talked about creating and maintaining the tests and then running those tests. And as John just said, we run millions of tests a month. How do we manage this? As you can imagine, running millions of tests a month, this can create a lot of noise. That's thousands of messages from customers a day. That's tens of thousands of failures and investigations a day. John, that's a lot of volume, a lot of things to keep track of. From your perspective here, I mean, what has historically made task management for so many of our clients a challenge?
It's just two main challenges that QA engineers might face serving a bunch of different clients with task management. The first is that the tools out there for task project management, like Jira, Asana, they assume that you're working on long-running tasks, at least a day, usually multiple week projects. We've built Task Wolf specifically for QA engineering, understanding the different types of tasks. We're dealing with problems like sending a sending a response to one of our customers in Slack, or Discord or Teams that has to be handled in minutes. It's live and it's always on 24 hours a day. If you're using a separate project management tool, it's another piece of software to add to this already big stack of other tools, which leads to more of the context switching that we discussed earlier. So those are two of the challenges with the existing task management software out there. It's not made for this quick turnaround time tasks, and it's another separate tool that's not connected to the rest of everything you need to do within QA engineering.
Right, and how would you say this sort of compares to the outsourced QA companies, especially ones that are having to work with hundreds of clients?
So if you're trying to run at our scale, handling millions of test runs per month would be an enormous challenge. Each of your clients has dozens of developers, product managers, executive leaders, and there's a constant flood of information requests on top of this constant flood of tests that have to be reviewed in terms of failures and as well as fixed and maintained. So without a centralized task management system, the outsourced QA providers are going to struggle to stay on top of this task maintenance, certainly to be able to do it quickly. Long cycles to actually review these failures and to report bugs and manage all of the client-specific requirements and priorities. So this lack of organization is going to lead to slow responses and unaddressed issues that ultimately are going to lead to compromised test coverage and quality. In order to respond to every customer in under 5 minutes and to be able to complete QA cycles in under 15 minutes and resolve customer issues, within the same day, you need a custom tool like TaskWolf that's more powerful than is what else is out there for QA engineers today.
Wow. That is a huge undertaking. And I know we're going to look at a demo here in a moment. But before we get to the demo, I just, want to get your take here. I mean, how have you and the QA Wolf team solved for this?
Well, similar to air traffic controllers who have custom tech for the specific job, we've built a custom proprietary task management system for our QA engineers to use, which ensures that they can manage this flood of requests and be responsible to customers. Here's the reality is that the fact without this purpose-built tool, managing the workload would be extremely error-prone and inefficient no matter how skilled your QA engineering team is. And this becomes more and more challenging, the larger that you scale. The only way to manage the flood of information that we manage was for us to build this centralized task management system. We tried to use off-the-shelf tooling and it just didn't scale. So that's why we built TaskWolf, and it centralizes all of these test-related tasks that we have across our clients and provides real-time visibility into the requests that they have, the failures we need to investigate, as well as tasks we need to maintain and bugs we need to report.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like building a custom project management function within QA Wolf. This is the surefire way that we're holding ourselves accountable to our customers. And Jon, I'd love to see what it looks like in action. So once again, I'm going to pass the virtual microphone and stage back over to you for a demo of TaskWolf.
Thanks, Caleb. So what we're looking at here is TaskWolf. This is the custom task management tool we've built to streamline everything we do here at QA Wolf. The first thing that we're seeing here is the task management system. So TaskWolf prioritizes tasks automatically. It helps us ensure that urgent requests from customers, and issues are attended to promptly 24 hours a day. We're never going to leave a customer in the dark because we're tracking every single thing gets resolved, and we're automatically assigning it to the right person to handle that. Other stuff that we have built in TaskWolf is a lot of monitoring and metrics to help us make sure we're constantly getting more and more efficient and that we're hitting the outcomes that we've set out to hit for our customers. So TaskWolf provides this monitoring that not only helps us get more efficient, but also makes sure that we're on track to delivering the outcomes that we've guaranteed for our customers. And we're constantly getting more and more efficient. We've built tooling to track specifically investigations. How do we make sure we're getting faster at investigating failures? How do we reduce the false positives to make tests less brittle? Which are the most brittle tests so we can make those more efficient? All of this tooling is custom built so that we can become, and we already are, the most efficient test coverage factory in the world. Here's another example of some of the insights that we track, making sure that we're getting more efficient and helping guide our engineering team to build the tooling in our platform to streamline, the slowest things and the most time-consuming tasks that we're doing on a daily basis.
Thank you so much for showing us a little bit of TaskWolf and the really cool tech you and the team have built there just to make sure that you're getting back to customers in a timely manner. What sorts of feedback have you heard from customers regarding the benefits of QA Wolf's responsiveness?
Loud and clear, we've heard from our customers and in our reviews that because of TaskWolf, we offer a level of responsiveness and transparency that's unmatched by other outsourced QA providers. By tracking every request and prioritizing each task, QA Wolf ensures reliable service and comprehensive test coverage across all of our customers' projects. Our clients experience consistent communication, fast issue resolution and confidence that their testing needs are fully managed and off their plate. They don't have to worry about it because QA Wolf has their back and we're on it.
So it sounds like when you put TaskWolf alongside our AI native web-based platform and infrastructure built for parallel tests, it's really hard to deny that you're using a solution built for fast, high-quality coverage. So, Jon, I want to start to wind us down here. Viewers today have just seen the three key pillars of QA Wolf's technology that can show you what no one else can do, which is bring our customers 80+% test coverage in just under 4 months. Yes, there are other third-party outsourced QA methods out there, but the reality is other options will promise similar functionality or they'll offer similar functionality. But Jon, from your perspective, what separates QA Wolf from the other third-party QA options out there?
Yeah, so QA Wolf takes testing off of our customers' plate so they can focus on building a better product. By having outcome driven QA, by selling these outcomes with our AI enhanced test creation, the unlimited parallel tests, and centralized task management, we empower engineering teams to release faster, reduce their bugs, and have reliable coverage. If you're watching this today and exploring outsourced QA, ask them how is the tech that they're using going to help them accomplish and make good on what they're promising you. They can promise the world, but without the right tech, they're probably not going to be able to deliver it. So really understand what's under the hood and how you're going to achieve the results that QA Wolf can achieve for you.
Awesome. Well said, Jon. Thanks so much for bringing all of that back together for us. So, simply put, outsourced third parties, they just aren't as reliable or as effective as the customer service and advanced solutions that we offer here at QA Wolf. It's going to take them 5 times longer to deliver those sorts of business results because they can rack up the billable hours. And instead of delivering quality test coverage, and just to bring it back to something Jon talked about earlier in the presentation, when you're working with QA Wolf, you are charged by the test. Our incentive is to build your test as quickly as possible and in such a way that there's little maintenance needed so that you can, at the end of the day, focus more on building new features, shipping faster. So, Jon, I think we are out of time today. It's been a real pleasure. Congrats again on the QA Wolf team's success. And thank you so much for sharing the latest developments that you've been working on.
Thanks so much, Caleb, for having me and really enjoyed recording this together with you.
Yeah, always a great opportunity to chat with you, Jon. Before we close up, for everyone who's tuning in, I just wanted to quickly recap the highlights. You've seen it yourself. QA Wolf's technology equips teams with everything they need to kiss bugs goodbye. Simply put, the three pillars of technology we provide customers with that tech, it's not possible for anyone else to do what we currently do. So if you're looking for technology that will get you 80+% test coverage in just under 4 months, make sure that you hit us up. QA Wolf has you covered. You can head over to QAWolf.com and schedule a demo today. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.